Welcome. This Lenten season, we are going to be hearing from women in Holy Week. Some of them are fictional women who might have been there along the way, and others are women from scriptures. Each week, on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m., we'll have evening prayer, and one of these women will share their story with us. The final story will be shared at the Easter Vigil at St. John of the Cross on April 19th at 8:30 p.m. This service will not be streamed, so I hope you can join us in person. Tonight, we hear from Miriam. My name is Miriam. I come from Sepphoris in Galilee, where I live with my family. We're fish traders. It's a good life. Selling fish to the Romans brings a steady profit. The money is good. The weather is glorious. Rarely too hot or too cold. Our life is peaceful. We in Sepphoris know what's good for us. We're loyal to Rome, and Rome leaves us alone. Not like those mad fanatics in the hills. They'll get themselves killed, you mark my words. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see the back of those Romans as much as anyone. When the Messiah comes, and I know he will, I'll be the first to cheer on his army as they kick out the Romans. But until he does come, I'll keep my head down and mind my own business. I'll leave the Romans alone and hope they leave me alone. That way, no harm could possibly come to anyone. This year, like every year, we've come to Jerusalem for the Passover, us and most of the others from Galilee. I love it and hate it all at the same time. I love the excitement and the expectation. I hate the smells and the jostling. I love the togetherness of all of us traveling to the same place for the same reason. I hate the fights that erupt at a moment's notice. I love going to temple to meet my God, and I hate being pushed out of the way by those people who think they have a better right to be there than I have. I especially love that moment when all the crowds have been traveling from north and south, east and west, join together as we stream into Jerusalem. And as we go, we sing. We sing as though our hearts would burst within us. We sing the ancient tunes of the Psalms, voices of strangers mingling together, weaving us together as one as we sing our way into the holy city, the city of God. One of my favorites of the Psalms has always been the Song of Victory. Give thanks to God, for he is good, who only does great wonders. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, who by wisdom made the heavens. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, who spread out the earth upon the waters. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, who created great lights in the sky. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, the sun to rule day and the moon night. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Blessed is the one who comes. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, who comes in the name of the Lord. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Give thanks to God, for he is good. Give thanks to God, for he is good. When the pilgrims sing it, the sound of it ripples backwards and forwards down the long line of people. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, sure, sure. This year, we started singing that psalm, my favorite psalm, just as we got to Bethany. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. It's a psalm about a king who really existed. When we sing this psalm, I love to imagine him weary and bruised from battle, coming to Jerusalem exhausted, but quietly triumphant. Riding down the very road I'm on now, remembering the struggle and the battle and how he nearly lost, but how the steadfast love of the Lord really does endure forever. And how the priests would stream out of the temple to greet him, singing, "His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Blessed is the one who comes. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, who comes in the name of the Lord. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure." And there will be joy and thanksgiving everywhere. One day, we'll sing this for real when the Messiah, our new King, comes. When he's driven the Romans out and there's peace and justice everywhere. Then we'll sing this with all our might. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Blessed is the one who comes. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure, who comes in the name of the Lord. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. I was thinking about that, as I always do on the way to Jerusalem, when two people brought a donkey and a man got on it. It was strange. Almost as though he expected it somehow. He rode it, just like I always imagined the king would have done, except that it was a donkey and not that impressive. The crowd parted for a moment, and I recognized some of them around him from the fish market back home. There was Peter and his brother, the quiet one. I think his name is Andrew, and Zebedee's boys who had upped and offed a few years ago, leaving their poor father to do all the work. I heard that they've gone off after one of those wannabe Messiah types. Then I saw the man on the donkey himself. He should have looked ridiculous, but somehow he didn't. He looked, well, right. Kingly and gentle, powerful and caring, all rolled into one, just like I imagined steadfast love would look. Someone pushed a branch into my hand as we got close to the end of the psalm. I found myself singing and waving my branch. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Save us, Hosanna, save us, Hosanna. All around me, people were doing the same, singing directly to the man on the donkey as if our lives depended on it. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Save us, Hosanna, save us, Hosanna. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. Blessed is the one who comes. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure. In that moment, I felt like he really could save us, that is. He could not be the one, could he? No, of course not. The Romans are all around us. Look at them twitching for the merest chance to draw their swords. In any case, he doesn't look the part, not even approaching magnificent enough to be a proper Messiah. And the priests have not come out of the temple to greet him. If it was him, they'd know, wouldn't they? Priests are trained to recognize the things of God. If he really was the Messiah, they would know and they would tell us. Then we'd all know. No Messiah would leave it to chance, would they? I kept hold of my branch just in case the priest suddenly came to meet him like they ought to. But nothing happened. No one came. That moment went just as quickly as it had arrived. I let my branch fall to the ground, strangely disappointed. He wasn't anything like I had hoped the Messiah would be. And yet, I couldn't help thinking that if the Messiah comes, when the Messiah comes, wouldn't the world be so much better if, instead of being magnificent and grand, powerful and splendid, he was like this man, steadfast love in human form. We came to the end of the psalm, the final verse echoing off the walls. His never-ending love is steadfast and sure.